Tonight, volunteer firefighters return home after assisting on Kangaroo Island, and calls for more forward planning around the Spencer Gulf snapper ban.
With the latest from around the region, your nightly news with Louise Hedger begins now.
Good evening. Dozens of South Australian firefighters have touched down back home after responding to a call for help during Kangaroo Island's bushfire crisis. The volunteers were sent over to help with the devastation and assist local crews in protecting lives and property.
As the wheels touch down, over 24 volunteers return from battling horrific bushfires. Walking off the plane after 3 days of tackling the Kangaroo Island blaze, speaking about the importance of their help.
Just over the last few weeks, seeing the devastation that's taken place on the island, just to be able to do our bit, and if everyone does their bit, it's a great team effort. Go over there, help out the locals, and help towards their recovery in the future.
Managing difficult weather conditions, just one of the many tasks they had to deal with.
The weather conditions were continuously changing, varied fire activity across the period of days, we managed to get hold of it pretty well.
For some, their third rotation, crews talking about the changes the island's experiencing and progress which has been made since the blaze started.
Actually, this time around it was actually really quite cool, which gave us plenty of time to shove in, get the hotspots done. It was beautiful.
For many there, life still continued, volunteers managing to meet with the locals and hear their stories.
Catch up with a lot of the locals and catch up with the farmers and just give them a hand. They've been pushed down the line with priorities and so forth, and so it was good to be able to give them a hand on the calmer conditions.
An estimated 48% of landmass has been impacted since the fires started. Firefighters looking to the future, hoping they'll finally put the flames out for good.
Few more days of great weather conditions. It should make it much easier for the crews to get hold of it and make it much safer for the next few weeks.
Emergency services are expected to remain on rotation in the coming weeks.
It's supposed to be winding up. That's what I hear towards the end of the month, so yeah, still a few weeks.
Laura Milovanovic, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Whyalla businesses will be the first in our region to receive faster internet speeds. The $1 million government-funded project Gig City is set to bring the town into the 21st century.
Gig City, an essential element transforming Whyalla. Today, Middleback Arts Centre, the first of many businesses to start installing the new network.
It's vital infrastructure, so it's a great opportunity for Whyalla to be one of the first regional cities to get this sort of service.
We'll have the ability to be able to live stream content onto our cinema screens, so things like concerts that are happening around the world.
Adelaide company MIMP Connecting Solutions spending the day installing antennas and fibre-active cable, ready to beam wirelessly around town.
And it means that essentially our upload and download speeds are going to be 20 times faster than what they've been in the past.
Set to have a more reliable connection, helping more than 90% of businesses with their banking and orders. For Middleback, it provides a diverse new program.
The opportunity to kind of set up a long table and have a gaming competition in the foyer, and then have sort of like some of the winners competing against other people in Mount Gambier on the big screen is super exciting.
Businesses in Whyalla will be able to take up the service at prices comparable to those available in metropolitan areas, ranging from $50 to $180 per month, depending on the size of the business and the chosen plan.
At this stage, it's just for businesses, but the way the future is going and changing, I'd anticipate that and hope that homes are able to get on board shortly also.
Mount Gambier is next to receive the upgrade. Sophia Contagonis, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Port Perry fishermen are calling on the state government to start considering the enforcement of restrictions once the 3-year snapper ban is lifted. They say it's important to discuss the future now to avoid history repeating itself.
More than 2 months since the snapper ban has been put in place, the debate continues. Local fishermen say now's the time for decisions to be made.
And once the ban's lifted, there's changes made, because we can't have a 3-year ban and bring our golf back to what it was and then go back to what we've done for the last 20 years. Otherwise, it's just going to be a waste of time.
This local group of fishermen meet here on the Port Pirie Wharf every morning, often to discuss ideas what measures they'd like to see put in place, including tighter possession laws and policing.
When there's a lot of snapper around, people tend to go every day to get them. Even though that it's not possible to eat that many snapper, they go out there, and if they're not being policed, well then it's open slather, so they can do whatever they want.
It was recently announced that South Australia's southeast will allow 606 recreational anglers to catch 5 snapper under a new trial tag system. However, these fishers say the ban should be upheld entirely statewide.
I believe that if you're going to have a ban, you have a ban. You can't just have a partial ban and say it's all right for one area and not for the other area.
The acting Primary Industries Minister says talks will continue to develop a strategy once the ban is lifted.
Will be a new regime. There will be reform of snapper fishing into the future. We're developing that at the moment.
But these fishers say they'll continue to develop ideas to put forward.
Talk in a positive manner to try and resolve it, because if we can get this lifted and our Gulf comes back to what it was, and then hopefully our grandkids will actually know what a snapper was.
Very, very wide range of reforms so that the commercial sector can be successful into the future, but very importantly to protect the rights of recreational fishermen who want to get at snapper and other fish as well.
Shari Hams, 7 Spencer Golf News.
A Port Pirie man has been fined $2,000 for attempting to create his own artificial reef for fishing purposes by dumping more than 200 kilograms of scrap metal into the ocean. The 48-year-old was identified by the Environment Protection Authority when he launched his boat off the Port Davis boat ramp. The EPA says he dumped the metal at 2 disposal sites around 6 kilometres offshore.
We got some information from people in the community that were concerned that they'd been approached by a person who was looking for scrap material, metal, to create a reef.
The EPA director warns fishers that the maximum penalty for this offence is 6 months imprisonment. Still to come tonight, Whyalla musicians collaborate on a song about Australia's bushfires. And we take a look inside a Port Lincoln mansion, which is up for grabs. Welcome back. 15 teenagers at the Whyalla Music Association have teamed up, writing a song about Australia's bushfires. The meaningful song providing comfort to those affected.
A special song dedicated to those affected by Australia's bushfires. The song inspired by a scary night stuck in a blaze.
One of our members, Chloe, she was up in the Adelaide Hills at the time of the Adelaide bushfires on the really fatal night where everyone was really battling it out. Her family was told basically that they may have to evacuate through the night.
It was kind of scary because you could see that it's like up close and all the smoke.
Chloe shared her traumatic experience with friends, keeping in close contact with them as it unfolded around her.
I was talking to them the whole time and they were all asking me how I am, and it was very nice to have people that can help me with that stuff.
The day after, the kids got together and said, hey, we should do something to help those affected by the bushfires.
The bushfire song, written by all 15 members, only took 2 days to complete, with everyone going the extra mile to create meaningful lyrics.
Me and my sister, we flipped through one of the newspapers and got as much information as we could through all the articles.
The lyric, pray for the rain in the song, it's really important because we need rain in this time.
The song will be featured at the Left Hand Club on the 25th of January, with plans to record in February.
It makes me and everyone else that worked on it feel really accomplished and kind of proud.
Sophia Contagonis, 7 Spencer Golf News.
If you've ever wanted to own your own slice of paradise, now could be your chance. A home in Port Lincoln has hit the market, which boasts to be one of the finest and most extravagant properties in South Australia. The 1970s mansion already attracting national attention.
It's the jewel in Port Lincoln's property crown.
This is one of the most unique homes in Port Lincoln.
Located on the outskirts of the town sits this extravagant property, 1,400 square metres of pure luxury.
Of 3 levels, absolutely everything you'd ever wish for. It's got the beautiful living areas, entertaining areas and accommodation areas are second to none.
No expense has been spared, whether it's the Italian marble fireplace or the handcrafted furniture. There's something to dazzle the eye around every corner.
Full marble bathroom, spa, bidet, toilets, gold-plated taps, everything is just with the marble finish, something that most people, you wouldn't see nowadays in any build.
The home boasts 2 kitchens, 4 bedrooms, 5 living areas and a built-in bar. It was originally constructed in the 1980s by one of Port Lincoln's original fishing families.
It took them 4 years to build, double bricks throughout, hand-chosen the allotment here in probably one of the best parts of Port Lincoln on the North Shore.
The views are simply spectacular. From here on the porch you can see the entire length of Boston Bay, but a mega mansion like this doesn't come cheap.
The home's for sale by expression of interest, and if you have an interest in the property, we'd love to have a chat to you.
The home is the latest to go on the market in what's been a stellar start to the property year.
From May to December 2019 and now into 2020, we've seen significant improvement in the market. As a result, we've had some growth in some areas, which has been good to see.
Anyone interested can contact Kent Real Estate and secure their own slice of paradise.
Lots of grandeur, but very functional.
Nathan Regter, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Tickets for this year's Broken Hill Festival are selling like hotcakes, with more than a quarter of them already snapped up. The glitzy and glamorous event is 8 months away, but organisers are reminding those interested to get in early and book.
The complete sellout in 2019, the festival director wants to go back to back.
Don't dilly-dally if you are thinking about coming to the event. My advice is secure your ticket now.
The countdown is on to the 2020 instalment of the Broken Hill Festival, with more than 500 tickets already purchased. Organisers saying it will be bigger and better.
Well, last year we went up to about 1,800, so we are hoping to increase that capacity. So probably, hopefully looking around the 2,000 mark, perhaps a little more.
The event will soon be on the world stage very soon. The festival once again in the lineup for this year's Mardi Gras parade in Sydney.
We've got auditions happening at the end of January for people who might want to join us on that float.
The city's mayor amazed by the attention the festival puts on Broken Hill. Last year the entire city was booked out. Locals encouraged to rent their spare rooms to accommodate visitors.
It really grows our economy and strengthens Broken Hill on the tourist map, not just in New South Wales, in Australia, but also internationally.
The Silver City Stiletto train service, which brings festival goers from the east coast to town, looks set to return. The train's Thursday night arrival, the start of the festivities. Round 1 of early bird tickets is still open. As the festival gets closer, prices will go up.
The festival has many elements to it. One, it's about a celebration, so there's a social element. Then we have a community element about community pride. And there's the economic element. And the Broken Hill Festival hits all those marks.
Patrick Reinke, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us. Coming up after the break, Broken Hill's police chief hangs up his hat and a local author pens her experience of grief. Hello again. After almost 5 years as Barrier Police District Commander, Superintendent Paul Smith has decided to move on from the role. The Far West top officer looking forward to new challenges, but in a different region.
Calling time as leader of Barrier.
Barrier and Broken Hill is near to my heart and my family's heart, and we'll certainly be visiting the area.
Superintendent Smith's police career features the Far West region immensely. He's had 3 stints in the area, starting in the mid-90s in Dareton, where he was a police investigator.
I moved on and went away for some time before I moved back out here in 2004 as the crime manager, and my family and I did 5 years here. 04 through to 09.
In 2015, he returned to the region, becoming commander of what was then called the Barrier Local Area Command, now the Barrier Police District. After another almost 5-year stay, he's on his way again.
It's probably time to move and to take on some new challenges.
Not moving too far though, Superintendent Smith will take up the commander position in the Murray River Police District, adjacent to the Barrier PD, saying while policing a region as big as the Far West can be challenging, his hard-working staff make it easy.
We've got a good bunch of cops right across the far west. Certainly been enhanced by some of our junior staff straight out of the academy that have, give a bit of vibrancy to our police stations.
Thankful to regional communities for working with police to help prevent crime and looks forward to working with the new commander. Patrick Reinke, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Broken Hill councillors have backed a push for the Darling River to be recognised by its traditional name. An application has been made to the Geographical Names Board by the Barkindji Native Title Corporation. The council has supported the proposal, which would see the river have dual names, the Darling River and Barker.
You talk about Ayers Rock, people all know now it's Uluru. Everybody knows it's Uluru. It's not Ayers Rock, it's Uluru. That'll be the same, with the Darling Barker.
Locals are being encouraged to make a submission to the naming board by the end of the month. Clothing retailer Jeans West has collapsed, joining a long list of other businesses going into voluntary administration. Jeans West currently operates 146 stores across Australia, including one in Whyalla, and has 988 employees across the country. The company will continue operating while administrators, KPMG, search for a potential buyer. A new local author has hit Port Pirie bookshops with a debut novel, Grand Plan Shattered. Dee Scown says it's a motivational piece, working to inspire those in crisis based on her own experience.
Turning a negative into a positive, this Gladstone resident is now working to inspire others through her new book.
I planned to become an architectural engineer, and I got very sick and I was bedridden for 18 months and I have a chronic illness. So I've had to redesign my entire life.
Living on this property when diagnosed with chronic fatigue, she decided to share her story.
It's called MECFS, so myalgic encephalomyelitis, chronic fatigue syndrome. And there's 3 different levels of chronic fatigue syndrome and I have the worst level.
Chapter 1, Allow Yourself, speaks about dealing with the grieving emotions through a life-changing crisis, each page working through ways to reassess and move forward.
It could be the passing of a family member, it could be a divorce, it could be the loss of a business, or in my case, a sickness. And it's just the steps that you can take to start to reassess what you can do and then move forward.
Port Pirie's Meg's Bookshop now stocks the novel.
It's been great to be supported by Meg's Bookshop. It's a lovely shop and I'm so glad that we still have it in Port Pirie.
More information on the book can be found online. Shari Hams, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us after the break. We'll have this week's fish and tips and the weather with Brit. Hello again. The Port Augusta Golf Club has swung into the new year with the Twilight Golf event. Players can hit a 9-hole course every Wednesday night up until mid-March.
With the sun setting later, for a few, this means extra hours of sunlight to play golf. These players teeing off for the first Twilight Golf night of the year. Players excited to get stuck into the weekly games, encouraging others to come out and have a hit.
This is a real opportunity to see if they enjoy it. No one's going to criticise them. They're out there with another 2 or 3 people, and if they're members and play, they'll help those that haven't played before.
The event kicks off at 4:30 each Wednesday at the Port Augusta Golf Club. The game halved with just 9 holes to shorten playtime.
Time seems to be a problem for most people. A game of golf takes about 4 hours, and if you have a drink, so I can understand why in this day and age some people think, it's just too time consuming.
There's a few more people come out now and again, which is fine, and we get a lot of travellers that come around to have a hit of golf, and it's just fine.
The golf course thriving in what has been not favourable conditions.
And we've got a really good course considering the climate we're in, so with greens and nice green tees to go off and good fairways.
The weekly games will run until mid-March, and there's another draw card. There's a barbecue to follow each game.
Please knock off early and come out and have a game of golf with us, okay?
Laura Milovanovic, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Now let's hear from the experts with this week's Fish and Tips.
G'day and welcome to this year's first Fish and Tips. Well, it's been a bit up and down. Crabs have been there, but they've been a little bit hit and miss. The stronger tides seem to be better with the crabs, mainly over in the Flinders Channel and Letty Spit stick in number 2. Just be aware those sticks have been moved a little bit too, so you might have to rearrange your spots there. There are some good garfish around. If you do get a nice calm night, go out dabbing for those. Lots of Tommy Ruffs up and around the mangroves. Big silver whiting over in the Flinders Channel, low tide in really shallow water. Just about guaranteed to feed a big silver whiting there. That's all we have from the Jewel of the North.
G'day, welcome to this week's Fishing Tips from Port Lincoln. Starting around the bay here in Port Lincoln, there's been a few squid down at the town jetty early in the morning on the high tide, but the rest of the day has been a little bit quiet. There's been a few tommies and trevally and also some snook down there, and also a few kingfish there and at the wharf as well. Other offshore news as well, there's been plenty of nannies around, a few moas down the bottom end of the passage, and there's been plenty of kingfish and Samson fish down at the cabbage patch too. Moving over to Coffin Bay side, there's been a few whiting in the bay. They've been a bit of some small size. The salmon trout have been doing really well in there, as well as the garfish if you're looking to take the kids out. That's about it for this week. We'll see you again next week.
Welcome to another week around the Gulf Fishing Tips from Port Pirie. I am so excited. This is the best crossover season that I've seen in a long time. We've been getting some crabs right throughout the Christmas break, and they are still around in the Port Pirie area and Port Augusta. You'll get your not so much your quotas, but you'll actually get some good quality. They're still a bit full in size. We've seen the yellowfin whiting move in amongst the creek areas and all that sort of stuff, from First Creek to Third Creek Bank. You'll also see them at Chinaman's Creek and Talawi Beach. So great land-based, bring the kids along, have a bit of fun on the beach and catch some fish. That's all we've got for this week. We'll see you next week.
For a look at the weather around your area, here's Britt Aylen.
Thanks, Louise. Mild temperatures with strong winds about the region today. Broken Hill recorded a top of 30 degrees, Port Pirie 29, Port Augusta 27, Whyalla 25, Port Lincoln 18. Here's a look from the satellite today with a dry air mass and a region of high pressure sitting to the south of the Gulf. Let's look ahead to tomorrow now on the waters. Southerly winds tending southeasterly with seas around 2.5 metres. Sunrise at 6:24. And strong winds on the forecast for Port Augusta and Whyalla with mostly sunny conditions across the region. 29 the top for Broken Hill tomorrow, Port Augusta, Woodner, Corn and Port Pirie all 28, Whyalla, Clare and Kadina 26, Cleve 21, Coffin Bay 20, Port Lincoln 19. Looking fine about the lower air peninsula on Saturday with showers expected on Sunday, Woodner remaining fine and partly cloudy across the weekend. Fine conditions on the forecast for Whyalla, Port Augusta and Kadina across the weekend with maximums sitting in the mid to late 20s. A partly cloudy weekend ahead in the mid-north, Broken Hill looking sunny on Saturday, fine and partly cloudy Sunday and Monday. And Louise, that's the weather. Back to you.
All right, thank you for that, Britt. And that's your local news this Thursday night. Thank you for joining us today. We hope you have a lovely and safe evening. Good night.